Excited for today's conversation. If you've been following me on LinkedIn, well, you're joining from LinkedIn, so chances are you follow me on LinkedIn or some version of that. I've just been talking about AI and generative AI and ChatGPT pretty much 24/7. So today's topic, obviously, we will talk a little bit about it, but I'm going to switch it up a little bit, and I'm going to talk a little bit about other parts that I'm excited about around the sales process and sales, operations / revenue operations world that I think are going to be mission critical for all of you to really stay in front of. I'm just pulling up my LinkedIn Live here so I can comment. Make sure as you drop it. Make sure, feel free, everyone, drop in where you're joining from. It's always a fun thing for me. And yeah, looking forward to diving in. Okay, so what are we going to do to drive revenue in 2024? What are the trends? Here, I'll start by saying this. I can't predict what's going to happen for the economy. I can't predict it. I'm sorry. I wish I could tell you, on Q1 of next year, it's going to be better, or Q2, or maybe it's late Q4 this year. I don't know. All I can do is prepare for worst case. There's no point in preparing for best case, just in case you've never learned that lesson. If best case happens, you already know what to do. So you need to make sure you're setting things up, for call it the medium, the long term, et cetera. So here's the 4 things I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about the difference between RevOps and sales ops. I'm going to talk about why revenue operations should be a top priority for you, how to make it quantifiable, and then how to get started. And these kind of 4 areas here. And if you're a frontline seller and you're watching too, this is just as applicable to you, maybe even more applicable, because you have to, sellers have to think of their own pipeline, their own sales process as its own, your own funnel. It's your own process. And if you don't know your numbers, if you don't know, hey, I'm really good at converting here, compared to my peers, I'm doing worse here, it's difficult for you to get better as well too. So for anybody out there, I want you to really think about, those things. So again, feel free, drop in, let me know where you're joining from. If you're joining me here on LinkedIn, and we're going to jump into it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about RevOps, and the difference between RevOps and sales ops. Okay. And a lot of organizations, started calling things RevOps, but it was not RevOps. It was just Sales Ops 2.0. So sales operations, at many organizations, it becomes like a task doer organization where operations doesn't get a big enough seat at the table to drive strategy. And instead, it ends up being you're creating a lot of small projects and checking a lot of boxes and getting things done, but it's just not, it doesn't move the needle the way that people want it to. And so think of RevOps. RevOps is really giving you a holistic view of your customer journey, from how do we interact with these people through all the various stages to how do we churn and offboard them, right? So and why it's so powerful to have one view is if everybody's in silos, they tend to just care about their own world. This is what I'm doing. This is my own world. My job is to get somebody from this step to this step, and then I go away, and then this other person takes over. And that's partially, if I'm just being candid, that's partially why we've created such a terrible customer experience, is that we've all, from an operations or even from a playbook standpoint, we're only looking at one sliver of the customer segment and not looking at it holistically. And so why every organization needs a strategic revenue operations leader organization is step 1 is it all starts with the customer experience. If you have a bunch of silos, I promise you, your customer experience is going to be disjointed, right? If you've got marketing compensated on this, sales compensated on this, customer success compensated on that, I promise your customers are suffering. And so think of, the big difference is it's not just, looking at the sales component. It's looking at the holistic, the holistic sales journey, and then aligning that to the customer and what's ideal for the customer. So think of it like that. The other thing I'll mention is that a lot of times whenever we hear the word operations, we immediately think operations equals technology. And because we've got like enablement and we've called sales operations for so long. The other thing that I'll mention here is RevOps is also your sales playbook. RevOps is also, other enablement content. It is technology is usually just helping to solve a process problem first. There's a process problem that we need to maybe fix a process on, and then the technology to underpin it. When you try to solve process problems by technology first, it doesn't ever end up solving the problem. Hey, we've got more deals stuck here. Let's add more fields so they get filled out. Yeah, well, that didn't actually help to do it because we actually needed to fix the playbook for step 3. So think of that as your big differences. That really RevOps is looking across the whole revenue organization, and they're looking at process and technology, not just technology. Okay, next up, I'm going to talk about this. I'm just going to copy and paste it into the chat for all of you as well, too. This is point 2. I guess I could have copied and pasted in point 3. Oh, my bullets didn't copy and paste in. Okay, so how can you make this a priority? Okay, so obviously, I don't think what I'm saying sounds illogical. Hopefully it doesn't. Maybe there's parts of it. That, yes, we would want to have this holistic organization that is able to really optimize our customer experience. And if you're RevOps, if you kind of tackle RevOps with that mindset, that RevOps goal is to optimize our customer experience, and therefore hopefully conversion between, or nurturing or whatever it is, it just changes the whole mindset of RevOps being about technology, right? It's like, wow, okay, so we're trying to drive change here. We're trying to do things differently here. Okay, so again, when you have a unified, so what RevOps will allow you to do is have a unified growth strategy. Okay, that if you think about it, when we had full cycle sales reps, and I have been posting a little bit about this too, that generated their own meetings, closed their own deals, and worked with the current customers, you already had a unified experience. The problem is we stopped doing that, right? And we moved to these specialized roles, and so nobody was looking at the holistic experience. And so as we see more organizations move to this kind of hybrid model where you've got specialization and these folks, the unified strategy is number one. Enhanced customer experience, I already talked about that. It's pretty remarkable when you look at it from a customer's vantage point about the having someone that's looking out for their best interest and what's right for the customer at each step versus just someone's sliver within it. And then last but not least is data-driven decision-making. If you only know your part of the equation and you're only focused on your part of the equation, you are going to make decisions that are not based on the full picture. I'll give you an example here. I'm looking at my funnel. I'm looking at my dashboard over here, beep, boop, beep, and it says this sales department, the German team, they are struggling at converting from step 3 to step 4. Okay, well, you know what we need to do? We need to implement Medic because then we can do value-based, whatever it is, insert whatever. So if you're just looking at that, well, what you're not looking at is if you go back and you look at the data behind the deals that are pushing versus the deals that are moving, in the DACH region, it looks like it's actually at the marketing piece, they're all coming from webinars, right? Whatever, insert thing. And the other regions just aren't doing webinars. And so it's an artificial data point. So the answer isn't we need to go implement Medic or some other sales process. The answer is we need to go and maybe create another, kind of intent funnel for people from webinars to get more interested before they're ready to jump into the sales cycle. So again, if you're not looking holistically and you're just looking at your piece, you are going to consistently be solving the wrong problems. You're going to consistently solve what you can see versus what's the bigger picture telling me. I can pull out 85 examples of churn, all of those things. Okay, now this one, I spoke to a private equity firm, a great partner of ours, PSG, if you all are looking for an amazing PE partner, PSG has been just a super, super group to work with. And we've worked with a bunch of their portfolio companies. But I was doing a talk for their portfolio companies. And the question came up. It said, Jake, what is the ROI, or it's to the group, of revenue operations? How do we show that it's having an impact? And so I'm going to drop in some of those reasons here. Got a quiet group today. I guess it's Monday. The Q&A has been less than normal. Feel free, drop some Q&A in there. Drop a, hey, Jake, what's going on in there? Let me know again where you're joining from. That's always the fun part for me. Usually we've got people from all over the world, which is amazing. So the answer is very simple. When someone says, Jake, how should revenue operations be metric? Is it usage metrics? They're using the technology, or some type of adoption metrics. Is it, what are some other ones? Like number of, I don't know, trainings that you've done, or this is the one. Is it number of like tickets that we've answered, right? Or like requests managed? And I kind of was like, just stop. Like, we got to stop. I'm going to stop the train right now. There is only one way revenue operations should be measured, is return on investment. Revenue operations should just only be responsible for doing a handful of things. One, shortening your sales cycle, looking for very specific areas that we can optimize. So I can look at my sales cycle, increasing my conversion rates or right-sizing my conversion rates, right? Because we have an optimized process in tech, we're converting more people, increasing my deal size, or increasing my team's productivity. That's it. That's it. So your RevOps teams, depending on what they're focused on for that 6-month period, the way that you prove ROI should be very measurable. And if RevOps is focused on these types of projects, we can look at rep productivity. Before, our reps were able to run 10 demos. Now they can run 12. Boom, revenue. So there you go. Revenue, again, what's the ROI of RevOps? It should be, just if you want to very simplify it, there's probably those 4 buckets. I'm probably missing something too, but average sales price, sales cycle, conversion rate, and team productivity. It's going to be one of those 3. So what's going on, Philip? What's going on, John? Good to hear from you guys. So yeah, I hope that helps everyone on the ROI side. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about with RevOps is what do I actually need to freaking do? Like, how do I actually get started here? And I'm going to drop in some, and again, the formatting sucks, so I apologize in advance here that it's not coming out the way that I was hoping. But you all can follow along. You're smart people. So, okay, step 1, and again, I'll use the word assessment here, but it's assessment just feels maybe, I don't know, a little like non-actionable is probably the right time. And I'm also going to drop a link in here, for you all. Obviously, we do a ton of RevOps consulting, so if this is something that's top of mind, make sure to book time with me and the team. But you need to do a quick evaluation. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to do a customer journey walkthrough. We've got kind of these 6 points. And Becca, I think you're on. I know you're on this. Do we have the sample maturity assessment, or like a screenshot or something, or maybe a link to the website we could send somebody? Because I want you all to see this. Like, there's kind of like these 6 areas that you can look at across your RevOps, and you can just look at what we're doing and just mimic it. But you need to look at that customer experience. Okay, what's happening? And it's usually like a 3 or 4 hour exercise with like your go-to-market leaders. And then usually you want to get feedback from the field too about what actually is happening. That I can't see the data in Salesforce or whatever CRM. So long story short is you want to review what's actually happening, and you want to look at the process. What's happening? What are my customers going through? And then how are we using technology there? What are our customers asking for, et cetera? So that would be, step 1 is like, don't, too often, again, it's like because we're not taking a holistic view, we look at one tool and we say, Gong isn't working. Nobody's using Gong, or we're only using Gong for call recording. Well, it's not Gong's fault necessarily. It could be that, again, there's a value chain of, well, why aren't we using it here? How are we using that data with our current customers to get our CS team up to speed? So you really can't look at your tech stack in these just small slivers because you will miss out on a lot of the story. So you want to do an assessment of like the end-to-end process. We've got a customer journey map. DM me. Actually, just do me a favor. In the comments, just drop a Y, just literally the letter Y, and I'll have my team DM you our customer journey map. You can just go look at it. We built it in Mural. It's free. You can mess with it. Okay, then once I understand it, then I can look at again what is a technology problem and what is a process problem. Okay, great. And I've identified these areas. The other thing that I will say is that when you get to the recommendations phase, right? So after you've done this, there is a definition that there's a lot of funny things that I've realized over the years. One is that there can be only one bottleneck. And so when you do your assessment, and this is where I think our team is really good, is it's like, yeah, I know we can do these other 4 things. This is what's hurting you the most. Let's fix that. And I think too often RevOps starts to check a bunch of boxes, and it's like they've got 5 projects instead of getting one meaningful project over the finish line. So, that's always a good one. All right, guys, thanks for dropping the Y in there. I will make sure that the team, I'll DM you a couple of links for sure. So it was much better for your RevOps to have like one big project as opposed to checking a million boxes. I mean, it's not always the case. I guess there's some arguments I could see for certain use cases, but too many companies are trying to solve 30 bottlenecks, and there's one bottleneck that would unlock revenue the most. One of my favorite quotes, I don't know where I heard this, is the word, is it priorities? Yeah. There was no such thing as the word priorities until like the 1920s or some shit, because there can be only one priority. So when you finish your assessment phase of this, understand what the one priority is. What's the one bottleneck that we could alleviate, the one priority? Then you invest in, again, kind of technology and how it's flowing and the process improvements. This next one, clear communication channels. This is really important. Probably one of the bigger myths around how to get started. So you're going to do your assessment. You're then going to think about where you're using technology and process in the process. And then you have to make sure that you're getting feedback from the front lines. Anytime we come in on a failed RevOps initiative or issue, it almost always is frontline leaders weren't involved. Reps that actually know what's going on were not involved, and people are making decisions on high. So you have to we use a framework called RAPID. Let me just copy and paste in the definition for you all here. RAPID decision making. We stole this from, stole is a harsh word. Let's say we borrowed this from Bain Consulting, and they do a pretty good job of consulting. So there you go. You can look at this rapid decision making. I just dropped it in there. It really helps to get everyone aligned. It's like, okay, who's the team that's going to perform this? And so as a consulting firm, we're usually the P. Okay, who do we need to get input from? Some people call those tiger teams. So, okay, I've got a team of reps, team of frontline managers. And again, not everybody gets this. They get input. Okay, who then needs to agree first? Okay, that's probably the frontline managers. Okay, so they're going to be my agree team. Then next, who's kind of the final recommender? Okay, that's going to be the VP of sales, and the final decision maker is the CRO. So Rapid does a really amazing kind of component of really allowing these cross-functional teams and avoiding what I see happen all the time, which is death by a million paper cuts and a million opinions. Everyone's got an opinion on a lot of stuff. So don't do that. And then make sure that you can measure, analyze, and optimize. So once you kind of go through this journey, the final mindset. So I've assessed what I have. I've looked at the process and technology improvements I need to make. We've got this really great, high, functioning, communicating team. You have to be able to measure, analyze, and optimize. Okay. Like, this is not an exercise. This is your business. Your business never stops being optimized. There just is another bottleneck. Once you alleviate a bottleneck, there is then another one, and another one, and another one. DJ Khaled. Sorry, I just realized I was quoting DJ Khaled. So you guys get my point, all right? That it never ends. You never stop optimizing it. My friends across the pond are probably like, DJ Khaled, what is this guy talking about? Okay, there we go. Boom. Becca just dropped in for you all. So all you folks who dropped a Y, Becca, do you have the mural board template? Let me see if I can find it real quick to save everybody some time. Mural. Yeah, I think I got it. Let me see if this is it. Warming up. Warming up. Yep, this is it. I found it. All right, cool. So for everyone who typed a Y, I'm going to do you one better. I actually found the link myself. So there it is right there. So that mural board is where we created this kind of like customer journey map. It's pretty awesome. So that's what's up, everyone. There's your that was a 20-minute RevOps crash course. Okay. If you are an organization that's trying to get serious about this, obviously I put my link in there, book time with me. If you haven't signed up already for the stuff we're doing on AI, I will drop in there as a part of this. Make sure to sign up. That we've got the Thursday workshops. I know a lot of you probably attend the Thursdays. We've got our prompt guide that can get you all the prompts you need for ChatGPT. And then we've got a bunch of people signing up for the workshops, which are just more hands-on ways to use generative AI in your sales process. But again, RevOps, and again, is my jam. And and it's probably one of the biggest reasons I'm so big on AI is generative AI, at least in my humble opinion, is one of the biggest unlocks for revenue operations if used correctly. But a lot of teams are struggling there. So again, if you're an organization, you're trying to work through some of these, definitely reach out, book some time with myself and the team. And, again, RevOps to me is probably the most important thing for organizations to figure out right now, because customers are going to demand it. Customers are going to demand that we have kind of our shit together and a unified customer experience versus a disjointed whatever process it is. And as you have to do more with less, the good old do more with less, you don't have the option of just throwing more bodies at problems anymore, sales leaders. We can't just hire more. We can't hire our way out of this. We can't more activity our way out of this. We've got to be more clever. We've got to be more productive. We've got to figure out revenue operations. So if you're out there and you're like, we've got to do this, we've got to do more with less, I have the answer for you. I'm giving you the answer. It's what I just talked about now. So make sure everyone, if you have any questions, hit me up. We are off this Thursday. Me and KD are off this Thursday from an AI standpoint, but we'll be back next week. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. Make sure to share this with some of your senior leaders if it's helpful, and book some time if it makes sense. So thanks again, everyone. Have a great rest of your week. And if I don't talk to you, I'll see you next Monday. Bye, y'all.